Welcome to the Tragedy Academy, where you are the teacher and we are the students. Together, we will learn from past tragedy to lay the foundation for a better humanity. The only supplies you'll need, an open mind and a sense of humor. So, tilt that chair back, talk out of turn, and never raise your hand, because this is the Tragedy Academy, and class is in session. Non-purist scholar.
Fucking 20 before we know it.
10 months. What's his name again?
Vincent the Third.
That's right. It's the same name.
Yeah.
That's a legacy. Once you do that, you go to the third.
You know, it's interesting because it wasn't, I'm a junior. I was born on my dad's birthday, which I guess is my birthday, but we have the same birthday. So that was why I was named after my father. And when it came time to name my son, I was strongly against naming him after me. I wanted him to have his own name. Not that I wanted my own name when I was growing up, but I could see how, maybe a kid might want his own name instead of, having his father's, or feel like he's kind of living in the shadow or something. All I know is I didn't want him to have my same name, but my wife was persistent on keeping that going. And, looking back now, it is kind of cool that he does have the same name, but it gets a little weird in the house when we're always saying,
that's awesome. And for those of you that are wondering, the name is Vince Murdock. Joined here today with Gary. How you doing, Gary?
Good. I'm also a junior, and I would not name my kid Gary. That's a whack name. I do live on Gary Avenue, though.
So I have a curiosity question. When you have a junior and you move on to the third, is that when do you become a second at that point? Or can you go straight to the second?
Everything that I've seen from what I know is I would now take on, from Google anyway, I would take on what's called senior, and then my son would take on junior. But I guess it's all on how you want to do it. I'm not entirely sure the rules. All I know is on his birth certificate, it's the third. But everything that I know from like Google says that it would move down as far as like junior and senior, and that kind of tradition always stays the same. Maybe they're separate from the first, second, and third, and senior and juniors is completely separate from that. I don't know.
I like going directly to second. I just want to put I want to do like part 2 or something like that and just add that to the end of their name.
I'm sure you
The
could.
sequel?
I'm sure I could. The sequel.
Sequel.
Yeah, my dad can be the prequel.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, yeah. Well, your name's cool. Like, Gary's not ever been considered a cool name. Like, Vin, like, that's a good name. Like, Gary, nah, not so
Yeah.
much.
Vinny, Vince, it's a mob name. It's, I had an Uncle Vince that I loved dearly. He was a great, great man. And my cousin's name is Vinny as well. And
Yeah,
that's
I saw
his
that movie.
grandfather. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty solid name. It's a manly name. And you've got an A-team last name, which is kind of badass too. So it's a
Yeah.
good combo.
Not bad.
Yeah, interesting. I had a speech development problem growing up, and I took speech classes for a very long time. But I had a hard time saying my own name, not because I didn't know it, but I had a problem pronouncing like the C's and stuff. They sounded like S's. And so when people would ask me my name, I would actually like look at the ground and just fast talk it and try to, hope that they caught it, because I had a hard time with my T's. So if people would ask, I just always look at the ground and say Vincent really fast, but it'd sound like I would say it with like kind of like a lisp. And it's interesting. So that's why I actually changed my name to Vince for a long time. And then when I got older, I didn't want to have the same name as my dad, so I switched it to Vinny. And then when I went back onto the show for the Ultimate Fighter, I haven't went by Vincent since I was a little kid. Like my mom called me it, and
It's like you're in trouble when that name pops
when
out.
we get to the interviews for the show, they're like, "What do you want us to call you?" And I was like, Vincent. And it was so weird because I haven't went by that name in forever, but it just felt right to kind of kind of, I don't know, just it felt unique to do that. And I had everybody on the show
You
call
kind of
me
have a
that.
ladder.
Had everybody on the show call me Vincent. It was weird.
It's
It
more
was cool.
proper.
That's super cool though. When you have a ladder like that, because you were able to go through the various versions of your name, and it shows maturity at the same time. You go like Vinny and Vince, and then when you get to Vincent, you expect that to be the wise of the Vinces in the
You know
family.
what? It's funny you say that because that's exactly kind of how it was. Vince was more of like like a younger. Vinny was like, I felt like a party like when I was partying a lot. I developed that name when I was careless and I didn't care what people called me. And then Vincent, it's like, yeah, it's kind of like I wanted some more respect with my name because I felt like I deserved it or whatever. And then that's my actual name. Like Vinny's kind of kind of can be kind of childish or silly, you know what I mean? Like Vinny. But Vincent, that's my name. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
That means you're here to
Yeah.
do business. When the name Vincent comes up, you don't think you're going into the room with somebody other than someone with like a mean handshake. That's what I expect when I hear the name Vincent. I think right cross and mean
Maybe
handshake.
the right cross makes sense, but I don't have a very good handshake. In fact, my hands are tiny. So
Oh, how's that work out in MMA? I mean, that's an honest to God question because there's a lot of manipulation with the hands, and when you're down there on the
yeah,
ground, how do you do that?
my jiu-jitsu is not my strong suit, especially when it comes to the gloves. I think I wore extra smalls on the show. They were very up, they were pretty upset having to dig through trying to find a pair of gloves that were small enough to fit my hands.
Same problem.
Yeah.
People think like fighters have good handshakes, but they usually don't because their hands are all fucked up. Like they try like
Yeah,
they're like give you like
Mm.
this weird claw thing more. You're like you're like, nah.
So their hands develop like kind of like cauliflower ear almost. They have all these different manipulated joints and things like that that the grip is just not
That's
the
what
The
same.
majority of fighters that I've known and met, including myself, from Uriah, Cody Garbrandt and stuff like that, all have broken their hands and had problems. Josh Emmett, um, Uriah in the Brown fight. Now that I think about it, I don't know many fighters that do a big squeeze. I don't think it. I think it's kind of like past that point. Once you enter this life, it's like it's more of like a knuckle bump that we would do now. I can't remember the last time I
A strong handshake is only needed by people that are weak, I think. You don't need a strong handshake when you're giving everybody elbows to the face.
That's true.
No one knows how to shake hands at all anymore. Like it's mad awkward. Even with now COVID, it's even worse. Cause you used to like go in for the grown
Yeah.
man shit and then they give you one of these or then you do one of these and they like grab some people like grab it. Like, wait, what are you doing? Like
Yeah.
I feel like people are trying to discover your political affiliation in a handshake match now. You're like, there's a whole situation going on. So many things. You don't know who someone is. There's so many social, cues that are tied to how you interact with people
The
now.
worst is when you go in and they like don't catch your hand, they like catch your fingers.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
super awkward.
It's so
It makes you
awkward.
feel like
The fish,
Yeah.
you just feel like a wuss.
Yeah, that happens.
like you're holding the fish,
Yeah.
you don't get the
You're
squeeze.
like, yeah, that's or do you like go to like bro hug and like they give you like the old man like
Oh, that's the worst.
yeah. That's when you're like accidentally feel racist when you like give a like I do this to everybody and then like they come in with like you're like like oh that was awkward. You did that on purpose, motherfucker.
It's because we are awkward.
Yeah.
The human interaction experience as a whole is
It's getting
awkward.
worse.
I think a lot of it is just so many fucking damn options. Whereas like, back then it was just a handshake, and now there's just so much shit going on. There's the hug, there's the handshake and the hug, there's a fist bump. There's some people don't, you know what I mean, are good with just a wave now. Like,
Yeah, or the awkward like not even the elbow now, like the air elbow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
So yeah, there's just too
Yeah,
many choices.
it is.
Nobody knows which side of the line they fall on.
It's like greetings Netflix. It's too
Yeah.
much.
it's weird out there, man.
Too many things to choose from. So before we started the show, you were actually talking about you were on your first hiatus. What's that like?
Oh, just like disappearing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
everybody needs a break, and I think it's important that we discuss that and
Yeah.
why.
So, I mean, a little bit about me real quick. Just a series of trials and error trying to get to the UFC. I finally get to the UFC, and I was diagnosed with a brain disease called Moyamoya. And just, even before that was just always this massive battle to, get to the show, finally get to the show. They pulled me the day before the fight, said, "You got a brain disease. You're probably not going to live very long. Um, you should be dead, or you should have suffered."
No, who says that to somebody? They shouldn't say that
Well, they
particular
said it
line. Like,
more like
do you need to make that
they
prediction
meant they
for me?
said it more along the lines like, "We don't understand, or we don't know how your body's
Mm.
compensating, and it shouldn't be compensating." So theoretically, he put it nicely, to be honest. But so then after that, I was a candidate for emergency brain surgery because it was completely closed. The artery in my brain was completely closed at the time. I get that fix. I go through the whole recovery process. I'm busting my ass to make this massive comeback and recovery, and just another hurdle to climb. And I wanted to fight within 1 year of having brain surgery. Sounds silly, but it was a massive milestone for me, or goal that I thought was, would be really cool. I got an opportunity on the contenders at a weight class outside of what I would normally compete at. But again, I was excited to just get back in there, and I looked at it as an opportunity. And I hadn't fought in a long time. So anyway, lost that fight. And that night, actually, the night that I lost was the night that they announced the Ultimate Fighter. And I was like, man, I don't know what I'm doing right now. I put a lot of, effort into to getting back, but I submitted all my stuff for the Ultimate Fighter, and begged Gary, and I was feeling really good about, I was training really hard. I was feeling really good about my performances and stuff. And I get on the show, I win my first fight, and then in the second fight, I blew out my left knee, the fibula or the tibula. I think it's the fibula. The fibula dislocated at the top of my knee, and so it's just another series of bad luck and hurdles. And here it is. More frustrating is I felt like it's a fight that I really wish I could have lost in a better way. If I were to lose, I wish it were just I got my ass handed to me, because in my opinion, I just think that was a great fight for me, and I think I would have won that fight. And then I don't really like talking about it because it is what it is, and it's over now. So I lost, and I'm off the show, and I come back home, and then I'm just trying to find a fight or figure out what's next. And I'm going through a bunch of. My son was about to be born, and I'm trying to figure out what's the best. I'm trying to, I'm getting older, and I'm trying to navigate, what's best for my career. I end up taking a short or a dumb fight against opponent that I was obviously had more experience in, and it didn't go my way. I went in there. I knew something was wrong, like going into the fight, but I just figured like I just get through the fight and deal with it after. And anyway, the fight didn't go my way, so here I am with another big, massive setback. Um, and then 2 days after the fight, I was going to do some like therapeutic, like get lost in the mountains. I ride a bike, or I cycle. I'm a cyclist, surprisingly. And one of the therapies I picked up after brain surgery. But anyway, so I was riding my bike. I was up in the hills on like a 60-mile ride. I get back. I'm like a mile away from my house. I just get smoked by a car, going about 50, coming out of a parking lot. I just get hit by a car, like launched about 2 car lanes over and about 30 feet.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I shouldn't be alive. Like that one, like there's a lot of scenarios in my life where I should be alive, but this one's
No.
disgusting. And anyway, the guy didn't mean to hit me, but I was hit, and then I hurt my other knee, and I dislocated my shoulder in the accident. And then after that, I was just like, you know what, man, I just really want to focus uh on being with my son. And then like right like that day after, I just posted about the car accident. But from thereafter, I was just very selective about, social media, and seeing, where and what do I want out of this life, and that's kind of been like the big part about my hiatus is like I'll just work behind the scenes, and when I'm ready to come back, I'll come back. But right now, I just really want to take this time to myself because I don't know if I'll ever get that time to do that again. Because once it's go time again, it might be all gas and so I just really using this opportunity to spend a lot of time with my son and doing the things that I like to do until it's back to everything that I've always known, and that's just grinding away and trying to overcome whatever else thrown my way, which is always seems to be a lot, but it's all good.
That's extremely important though, because you were describing mindfulness throughout that entire portion of your story. There was that you were focusing on your son, you were focusing on what was going on right now, and that's just as important as fighting. It's in fact, I don't think that somebody can be successful in their career or their job if they're not successful in their internal life, in their struggles at home or whatever it is. And those that are mindful and care about their family and live in that environment tend to be more successful on the outside of it. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, it's time you
So
can't have back
I
either.
think that
Like you're
that's,
getting this quality time that's like building a foundation of another human
yeah,
being, which is good.
Yeah, I'm constantly trying to. I'm always assessing like what am I doing right now that's like you said I'm shaping his future or I'm building him or teaching him all these things right now, and I constantly think and like assess like the actions that I'm doing right now, and I think the best thing that I can do to show him and it's to live a life like of me going after what I want because I think learning like leading by example is probably one of the best things that you can do. I can't tell you how many times a teacher told me no, 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 or whoever I mom, dad, whatever. The things that I've always learned were from example, not by don't stick your finger in the light socket. I'll do it anyway. You know what I mean? Like always learn from. I'm always learning by
real world
yeah.
applications. You get out there and you do some trial and error and, okay, that sucked. Don't put my hand on the hot
Yeah.
thing and move
So,
on.
I think me just trying to overcome a lot of these adversities and just doing the things that I want to do and pursue in my life, I think will eventually show my son that things are achievable and he can dream big. I think me growing up, that was like one of my biggest problems was I didn't believe in myself until I was like halfway through my 20s, and not because I didn't want to, just because it didn't seem like a reality that I could do these things because no one ever told me I could. Which sounds silly, but
Mhm.
when you don't think you can do them, you have no reason to believe that you
It's
can
not
do them.
silly.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
there's just yeah, I just that's how I aim to raise my son is just by doing it like chasing my dreams. I think ultimately are gonna help him the most.
it's about the environment.
Affirmations and limitations have the same weight in life. If you're given limitations, you're going to live to them, and if you're not given affirmations, you won't rise to them. Just doesn't work that way. So you have to find what your successful affirmations are, and you found your way to self-soothe and take care of yourself to a point that you turn that corner and could start, attacking life the way it is. I love that. I think that that is something that you're setting a great example for your son in taking a moment and focusing on yourself, because that's going to teach him that his value is much more than any career or anything else. That's not first. Inside is first. And once that structure is built, you're so much stronger on the outside. You're able to affect more change. You're able to do better things. And I'm just saying, I'm commending you for it because that is an example that a lot of people won't do. They sit, they wallow, and they don't take care of, who they are.
Yeah, I just think that with a lot of all the way, every adversity that's handed towards me as of late, um, he's gonna see the way that I've handled those things, and like, did I choose to come back and fight, or did I give up and call it quits, or did I, you know what I mean? Like, how did I handle I think that's what's gonna show and what I mean, kind of shape. Like those things are the things that we'll look back on and then we'll see, and he's gonna grow up seeing and learning and being through it and living through it. and he'll watch the show, and see those things.
And just going for it, like we grew up in a similar environment and there's not a lot of like people around that are making shit, of themselves. Like,
Mhm.
it's like you got assistant manager at the factory. Like that was like a big deal. That's like
Yep.
you're killing it, or you like, you know,
Bro, you're rich where I come from if you were the assistant
yeah,
manager of
Yeah.
anything.
like,
Yeah.
it's like a lot of, cold poverty and, jail is like, when are you going to go to jail? Like, well, just everyone
Yep.
goes, it's like graduation. Like, oh, I fucking, oh, they like people like would celebrate that shit when you got back out, Oh, hey, did you know that
Which
one guard
yeah.
was in there? Oh, fucking bologna sandwich was fucking gross, huh? Like, it's like, yeah, not a lot of people are like, oh man, you could fucking kill that shit. Like, go fucking be a whatever, Like, just
Yeah.
seeing you
And
go for it is a good example for him. Like,
I
just
guess
going for
that's
it.
that's what I'm trying to say, because I grew up, yeah, I grew up in Michigan, and most of my older generation, or the people before me, grew up working in the car factories. And even when I graduated high school, I had 3 MIPs, and I was in and out of trouble with the law and stuff. And I remember when I met Darren Cruikshank, who was also on the Ultimate Fighter a few many seasons before me. um and I was living with him, and even then it took, that guy had to struggle to get me to believe in myself. He was constantly just telling me, he's like, man, you can do whatever you want. Like, he's the most careless. Yeah, he's a character. But but he was always telling
It's
me,
amazing what our mind will do.
he's the one that kind of really pushed me into this part of my life. And back then I was just fighting to kind of stay out of trouble. I was, my 3 best friends, one of them's passed away now, were all in jail. And I think my dad calls me up because he's also in jail, and who also has the same name as me. And my dad's on the phone with me, and he's like, "You're never gonna guess who's in here." And I was like, "No, I'm not." So anyway, my buddy takes the phone, and
No,
he's
I'm
like,
not. I'm not playing this
and
game.
I've played this
anyway, so
game.
it's my buddy. His name's Ruben, and he was like, he's like, "Hey, dude, it's like you're in here, except you're not. Like, we got your dad, but it's like you're here." You know what I mean? And he's like, so it was like all 4 of, like, it was all 3 of my best friends, and my dad is he subbed in for me basically. But that was just the kind of the reality of, like, kind of, I don't want to say that's where I was headed, but that was the crowd that I was, a part of at the time. And
You're preaching to the choir.
yeah,
All of my friends were arrested immediately after I joined the army. They were all like drugs and everything in between, and they've been in and out ever since. Friends, family members, whatever they are, all of them in and out of the system. It takes a lot to break that cycle.
yeah, I mean, mine was kind of on accident, but yeah. And if it hadn't been for guys like Cruikshank, who knows where the cycle had been. But I think a lot of what stood out the most was how he lived. Like, again, Darren showed me the most by the way he lives his life, not the things. You know what I mean? Like, he showed me that I could go after things, and if you put in the work, things are you can accomplish a lot. And even now, like, watching him be a father, he seems like he's so good at it. I aim to be a better father. So guys like that, and Uriah, and like people that I really look up to, um, it's not so much the things they tell me, it's how they live their lives that I think says the most. And I kind of want to be
Mm.
the same way. I think that just says a lot.
Yeah, I agree. Like, example's always better, because people are telling you to do something and they're not doing it themselves. It's like hard to really, believe that shit. It's like you got to
It's
see
just
it
hard
work
to
sometimes.
grasp. But yeah, exactly. It's like when you see something, you can see something, but sometimes when people,
Yeah, what is it? Those that can't do teach or tell you what to do, and when they can't do the actual action themselves.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
like, yeah, I don't need to see people being successful all the time because you're gonna fail. But like seeing people go for it, like that's what motivates me. Like you got to be
well,
willing to
it's
like eat shit,
interesting. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Most successful people. I mean, you look at like The Rock, or like any of those guys. The most successful people have failed many, 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 many times. They probably fell down 10 times to win one time. I don't. I mean, I don't know. I've just I've learned a lot about like some of the most successful people. I mean, Michael Jordan, like whoever's life that you're looking at is full of adversity and losses, and um, that's kind of what it takes. I
It's
think.
all how you define
Yeah.
failure.
Sure, to a degree. I mean, you look at some of the best fighters.
If you love what you're doing, you're not failing at it if you're failing at it, because you're just constantly honing what you love.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree.
It's like fighting's tough because it's like there's a wins and losses. So like
Yeah,
if you're not
never
winning,
fun to lose.
you know,
Yeah,
but if you're
Not
living
at
a
all.
life that you want to live, like at the end of this, if it was like, you never became a world champion, if you could go all the way back and just never fight and just went and had a regular ass job the whole time, like you probably still would take the fighting route, even though you didn't
yeah,
make it to like what your ultimate goals. You lived the life that you wanted to live and you fought and you got to see the world and you got to like do fun shit. And like if it doesn't go all the way to the top, it's to me personally, like if I don't ever like direct $100 million movie, if I don't ever win an Emmy, like I'll take that over, what I'm doing now over like just a regular old, like safe Nerf ass life that's like
yeah.
not taking the
Working
risks,
T-Mobile sales manager.
Nerf ass
Yeah.
life. Nerf ass life. That sounds like a t-shirt, man. I'm gonna look
I
at
mean,
Nerf
part
ass
of
life.
what makes
Um,
everything so good is, and it sounds silly, but is like kind of the route, the journey. You know what I mean? Like that's like kind of what it is about. You know what I mean? Like fighting's great, but that's only a small moment. Like it's the gym, it's the training, it's the lifestyle. Like that's part of it is that the whole the bigger piece of the pie is living it, like the not that end goal of getting the hand race. I mean, that's a fucking
Yeah.
15-second thing.
It's
Well,
bonus.
yeah, because then you're just right on to the next one anyway, win or lose.
Yeah.
So it's more so the
You fight an
in-between
hour.
stuff.
Like an active
Yeah.
fighter fights an hour the whole year. Like, right. We've like
Yeah,
4
even
15-minute
3
fights.
fights, yeah.
Yeah. Like,
You gotta
yeah,
love the
like the
process.
actual fight is very, very small. Like you have to like all that other shit, or at least like, I think one of the Diaz brothers says you gotta love it so much you hate it, or hate it so much you love it. Like it's like embrace the grind type of shit. It's just gotta like you gotta have it or you don't, because it's so
Yeah.
much effort to get
Can't
there.
imagine not being passionate about something that I get belted in the face over. Like it would really be a shitty day if I half-heartedly loved it. Like it'd be like getting punched as a cashier. No thanks.
Yeah, I don't think many guys would even venture down this road. Like it'd be hard to even really be good at it though if you weren't really enjoying it. Because then you're just not putting the same kind of energy into it, which would not give you the same results. Just my opinion, but
Yeah, people get like to a certain level if they're like freakishly athletic, or they have like like God given talent or whatever. But if you don't love it and you don't have like the ethic, like that'll only take you so far. It's like I've seen guys that are just freaks of nature, and that got them, to the mid range, but they didn't try, they didn't care, they didn't love it. Then you're not going to go all the way. I think you gotta have, yeah, you gotta have it in this, especially when like one moment it's over. It's like at any moment, like a fight could be over. It's not like if you're good at basketball, you could be good enough to like stay in the
have a
game,
career.
come back. Yeah.
Yeah.
But fighting,
Yeah.
like 1 second changes the whole thing. It's fucking crazy. It's like, it's heartbreaking when you watch somebody lose in that second. And then like the best feeling in the world when you care about somebody, you watch them fucking win in that second. It's like, not to say I feel a certain type of way about any of your opponents, but I know you like, really well. And like watching you get that highlight reel knockout, like so fucking happy. And then watching like the fucking knee pop out, it's like devastating. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
But honestly, it's kind of what makes this sport so beautiful is because of, tragedies kind of like that. And that's like, it's part of the art, and it sounds so silly, but the losses are a massive part of like why it feels so good to win, and the victories are so sweet. So sometimes you gotta just play your part, I guess. But yeah, that's just the roll of the dice. That's just the way it is. But it is truly a a art, a form of art.
it's,
It really is. And I think that fighters are on a stage. I come from a completely different perspective because you guys know the sport. I don't know shit about the sport. I watch it. That's what I do. I'm a professional spectator. It's about as far as it would go. But you do have the there's a certain amount of transference that a fan has that they put onto these fighters. And I can see someone like yourself attracting a big fan base because you look adversity in the face and keep going. And I see that you're now, in a position where you're on a hiatus. What is your current passion that you're pursuing while you're on this?
Um, some of the, I mean, one is just being a father that I know that I am proud of. I know it's being possible to be the best father, but one that I can that I'm proud to be, and that's something I'm always working on. Being a great husband and stuff, but being a father really stands out to me just because sometimes it was kind of the missing link in my life, and I enjoy it so much. I just want to be able to do the job so well, even though there's no, end goal to it because it's going to be going on forever. It excites me. And the other part would just be really trying to, when I want to come back to fighting, but I want to make sure I do it different than I have before in a way that's not reinvented, but you know, I can kind of really find like we're speaking about the love for it again. Like I absolutely love it's not that I love fighting. I love competing. Like I can't say that enough. I absolutely love the idea of going out there and just testing my ability against another's ability. And a lot of the mindset is just I don't think I'd feel like I'm hard to beat just because I've worked so hard to be there. I have no problems or qualms with losing to the guy that beats me because he's better than me. You know what I mean? And it just sucks.
I think that's hard for a lot of people to understand. I got to be honest. It's hard for a lot of people to understand the embracing of someone other than yourself in a fight and wishing that kind of or respecting in that manner. A lot of people don't get that.
Yeah.
Once they've been hit in the face, they feel like,
see red.
They want ill will. They see red, they see all these things, but fighters have that camaraderie and that mutual respect that you see afterwards. And even, I guess a certain amount of it's got to be some hype. I mean,
Yeah.
some of the shit talking's got
I
to
mean,
be.
some people do tend to. I mean, I know a few fighters that need to be riled up a little bit in order to compete. It's hard in my opinion, just because we're in a Monday through Friday, we're constantly competing with each other in the gym. So to keep that kind of energy, that animosity to sometimes it just doesn't feel any different to want to, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
my opponent,
It would get old.
yeah, it's like you just been punching people for so long. The idea of it when you go to fight someone doesn't sound as crazy to me as it does to the next guy because he's like, fuck, if I
Good
had to
point.
punch that guy, you know what I mean? Like, it's like I punch people all fucking day for 15 years. Like now
Like,
I
but
just
your
gotta
best
go do it
friends.
in front of a crowd. Yeah,
Yeah.
like the guy could be really cool. Like I don't fucking know, but I just don't think of it like in that mindset. I mean, have I ever not liked one of my opponents? Sure, but not even enough to like where I have to be super angry. In fact, before I started fighting, I remember what it was like to fight angry, and it's fucking hard, man. Like your adrenaline's going, your fucking heart rate's through
It's
the roof.
awful.
You're just like,
You never looked
yeah,
good
I'm up,
either.
dude.
Never
I
looks
remember
good.
punching it. I'm like, dude, I hope he fucking he dies or something because I don't know how much more I got left in me. And you know what I mean? You're just
Yeah.
constantly evaluating how much fight you have left in you.
15
and,
seconds.
yeah,
That's
that's
right.
honestly what
Yep.
before I was a competitor, that's what it was like. That's a terrible way to try and compete.
No, and you never look good during it or after it. Those kind of fights, you come out with a collar that's 3 feet
Yeah.
wide. You got skid marks in weird
Yeah.
spots, and you're just angry. And there's somebody's looking at you
Yeah.
disappointed.
Yeah, or your
Every
cup,
time.
or your cup.
There's a disappointed face out there.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
never
people
a
don't
good
fight good
thing.
angry, and it never works.
No, we shouldn't. It's not anything that you should ever do unless it's necessary for protection or
Yeah,
something like that, or if it's what you
yeah. And even then, you're still. I mean, I think protection. It's probably best to have a cool head, or at least try to in those situations.
Yeah.
Whether it be preventative to
Absolutely.
do something, or just because that shit can get shit can get real, you know what I mean, real fast. So it'd be better not to be
Right.
emotionally driven, or, you know, your thought process not emotionally thought out, I guess.
Yeah, can win or lose, that's bad.
The calm guy is the one you want to avoid in that situation anyway. Like, that's the one I'm keeping my eye on. I don't want the guy that's losing his, you know.
Yeah.
It's the other
That's
one.
me. The why, like, because I like deep down, like I really did, like, was hoping they didn't want to fight me. You know, like probably he's like loud screaming and getting like all wild. It's like that's kind of like a defense mechanism in a way. Like hopefully they'll just be intimidated and not want to fucking fight me. Like the guy that really wants to fight is just sitting. Yeah, like
That's exactly what it
looking
is.
back on it, like I did like to fight a lot when I was younger, but it was like more to prove to other people that I was tough. I didn't really
Yes.
like
Yeah.
I was made to fight by situations. I never wanted to fight. Like, I'm just not that dude. Like, I don't want to go out and, you know, hurt somebody. But I was constantly raised in a situation and around friends and family that all your pride and everything was around whether or not you could take on somebody else or get your ass kicked or kick somebody's
Fighting.
ass. And then if anybody did anything to fucking disrespect you, just something that somebody else perceives as disrespect, you don't even give a fuck about it. Like, it doesn't even, it's not even your radar. But suddenly that person has to be
Oh, yeah.
dealt
I mean,
with. Otherwise, you're shamed.
fighting really is like the universal language and like cycle of life, which is like why it's always intrigued me. In other sports did it, you know, you got basketball or checkers or whatever fucking sport that is. At the end of the day, if I can kick your ass,
Basketball and
yeah, I probably
checkers.
weird sports to mix, but you know what I'm saying? Like if someone beat me in a game of
I love
checkers
it.
and they were like stoked on it, I'd be like, bro, I'd still fuck you up. So what's it matter? You know what I mean? And that was always my thought process. Like, you know, you beat me in a game of basketball and they're getting all like, if someone's to get hype, and it's like, well, at the end of the day, where does this all boil down to? Where does this all lead to? You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, even in basketball, fights break out. It's like, why? Because they're so competitive. So it's like,
Yeah.
ultimately, how do you settle something? It's with a fight, and I think it's just so universally like spoken.
My-
It's like a language.
It is a language. I would agree with that. I mean, we've got religions built around it over, you know, millennia. So many different martial art forms. Because Gary and I are talking about doing something coming up in maybe October timeframe, and doing a run on like martial arts and mental health, you know, and that kind of thing, and bringing some fighters together. I'm going to fly out there to Vegas and meet with them there. So I think there's a lot to be said about that. It's an art, it's a religion, it's all those things wrapped into one when it's embraced properly, and it's not aggressive. It shouldn't be aggressive until it needs to be aggressive.
Yeah, you know, I mean, as far as like sport martial arts, it shouldn't be. Should be therapeutic, really.
It really should. And I want to kind of switch gears, because I watched you for a while, and I loved seeing you come back from things and the way that people supported you, and you know, when the battle with Moyamoya, and how you were a beacon for people to return back to the ring. That was that transference I was talking about earlier. But it looked like you were using a lot of really cool tools, not just the people around you supporting you. And, you know, you said you're an avid cyclist. I used to mountain bike up and down the Kamakura River in Tokyo. Like, I would go back and forth in Japan. I love
That's
doing
awesome.
that.
I hate bikes.
But I saw that one of the affiliates that you had and you've supported for a while is medicinal marijuana. And coming from someone that has a brain, I don't know how to describe it, disease disorder or whatever it's classified as, have you found that utilizing medicinal marijuana, it helps with your overall well-being? Is that something that you support?
Yeah, you know, especially everyone's situation is gonna be a little different, but the more I like work, if I were to dive into it and really focus on like my diagnosis and what comes with it, I start thinking about the other people that have this disease. And, you know, I'm doing pretty well in comparison. We lose, you know, someone from this disease pretty regularly or more often than I care to admit. And it's always really sad when see it. I belong to a group and a community that we all keep in touch. And a lot of them that have suffered the stroke, it's not, a lot of the things that they do are not their fault. It is scary to have a brain disease. It is scary to navigate life like this. So, marijuana definitely could be, used for anxiety and amongst those things, pain relief, and it's something I would definitely advocate for, especially in my, for my brain disease, and other rare diseases as well. It's just, what's sad to see is that sometimes a lot of these people are so scared of the disease that they run um, I'm not a huge fan of the
Big pharma
yes,
versus
I guess is what I'm trying
yeah.
to say. And they'll take the pill,
Yeah,
and
no, I'm with you.
next thing they don't want to exercise because they feel like they'll find an excuse to not exercise. And it's like, you want to give yourself the best chance at living a life, and the best chance is being in your best self. And that means being healthy, active, exercising, eating right. They sometimes look for an opportunity to live a little less, and you know uh ultimately it hurts them because now they're not giving their body the best chances of fighting the disease day by day. Or
Not a strong platform to
It's
fight.
like
yeah,
a waste of time.
I advocate for it as well. I believe that there's a reason that we utilize it, or it should be utilized. I mean, we have the endocannabinoid system within our entire body. We're designed to intake it. And I had a psychiatrist or psychologist tell me one time what medicine actually is. Because I hear what you're saying. Big Pharma does scare me
it should.
too. And they stuff all these pills down your neck. But one of the things that was described to me was that pills serve a purpose only for a period of time when it comes to mental health. I know you weren't specifically talking about that, but I like to bring it up because you said anxiety and that kind of thing, and that pills like your antidepressants and your SSRIs or whatever the hell, somebody would go on, they are good for a certain amount of time, and they're only to give you a baseline so that you can address the actual problem that's causing the need
Yeah.
for it. That's how it was described to me, and that makes more sense to me than just handing me a bucket of pills with no
Yeah,
expiration date.
when given, there should be directions, like what's the therapeutic, way out of this situation. It should come with like exercise, like these are the things you be doing, not like to the pharmacy, take two of these, we'll up your dose in 6 months or whatever it is. Like, it's that's like the cancer of America, in my opinion, and it's sad to see. And it's, I'll always advocate for other things. Yeah, natural. Honestly, marijuana has been great to me. Psilocybin has been my main focus since the brain surgery. Something I'm incredibly passionate.
Really, I'd love to talk about that at some point. I've never, ever, ever tried, and it's something that's been on my radar. I believe in a lot of these different modicums of relief that we utilize, like, ayahuasca,
Mhm.
psilocybin, cannabis. These are all naturally occurring elements within the earth. And there's a reason. The earth doesn't make mistakes. We've seen it a million trillion times over. It's talking to us. And if these are the things that provide us the relief and the escape from the insanity that is the human condition, we should be fucking doing it responsibly, but doing it and finding out. The onus is on us to figure out what is going to break this fucking human condition. And that is one of them. My wife never done a drug in her life. She would stuff weed down my neck every chance she got. She's like, no, you need to go smoke something, because she knows that it has a positive impact
Yeah,
on me, that it calms me down, that it makes me, it gives me more concentration, fucking great music, things like that. So I appreciate your advocacy for it because it gives people that have that fear of the social stigma that's been given to drugs like that. It gives them a voice and an opportunity to exercise, their
yeah.
rights, their abilities to have that comfortable life that everybody
That's
else
the
has.
biggest battle that we're going to constantly have to keep trying to overcome. Is It's so interesting. It's like, you'll have to fight the stigma of marijuana that was, developed in the 60s or whatever, yet we keep when is the stigma of big pharma, like when do people start to figure out that these medicines and these prescriptions are doing more damage than they even realize? I mean, they don't
Even
know.
alcohol.
Alcohol is terrible for you, man.
Like,
God, alcohol is the
like, that's
worst.
everybody drinks, it's like not looked at as a bad thing at all. It's like
A
I was
lot
in-
of it is the education, though.
it is. Well, it's
Like,
marketing
they
and
don't
education.
know. They don't like. We don't go to school to tell you how bad alcohol is. If you really want to know how bad it is, you'd have to like really search for it yourself. Same
Or
thing
look
with
at
the
anybody
American
that drinks
diet,
a lot.
these foods. Yeah, but like even then, you don't like, wow, maybe he just drinks too much, or it wouldn't
Yeah,
happen to me, it just
well,
happens to
It's $1
him.
trillion of
You know?
marketing throughout the years and
Mm.
making it cool and the hot
Right.
chick.
Yeah.
It's a show, like a social.
That-
Like
I'd tell you at least 90% or 70% of like my friends or people that I know that drink don't really think it's that bad for you though. They just like, well, it's such a social thing. They don't realize
Yeah.
that it's so terrible.
No, they do.
You know what I mean?
yeah,
They do. They know. That's why they're saying that. You don't walk around saying something is safe if it doesn't need to be called out or you're not partially
I
believing
like
that.
all
smoke
I
better
know-
without it.
I know that we see it on the outside, but if you got to say smoking is good for you or it's not that bad every time you have a cigarette, it's probably
Yeah,
bad
I mean,
for you.
I drank
That's just-
for years, and sometimes like I'm 2 years sober back in February. I'm really proud of it, and I only quit because it was part of the recovery from the brain surgery, and I wanted to see if I could even do it. It had nothing to do with like I thought alcohol was bad. I was just like, well, my fucking dad drank his life away. Like, let's see if I can just take 6 months, and then it took doing that to like show me like how much I fucking drank and how much I relied on it. And then observing, like just seeing that everybody's waiting for the weekend, everybody's going to the bar, like let's grab some drinks. Like, and I'm just in here thinking like, this would have been me. This would have been me. Like every time an opportunity, I'm like, this would have been me. And it's like, it took me to quit drinking to see how bad drinking really was versus like something happened to me.
It was my coping mechanism.
Yeah. I
For
mean,
a lot of years, it was my coping
yeah.
mechanism.
And then
Bad.
the thing
Real
is,
bad.
like, you didn't know any. Most people don't know any better. It's what they see. It's how they knew. It's how they grew up. They know it for. Yeah. It's unfortunate.
I've been like 6 years. I don't think I've had a drink in 6 years because nothing ever good came
No.
from a drink. I never woke up the next day and said that was a
Yeah.
good idea. So what's the definition of insanity? It's doing the same thing over and over again. And I've never come closer to dying on anything other than alcohol. I've never, all of the bad decisions in my life have been somewhere.
I'd like to
near
introduce you to
alcohol.
angel dust.
There have not been anything but that.
Angel dust.
What? Holy shit. Who jumps like that, man? You went from
I just
Budweiser
been
to heroin
throw
or
it in like
some
random shit to catch. Like,
Yeah, he did. He
Yeah,
got
it's like-
cocaine earlier. I was told once by a friend that I should never, ever, ever, ever try cocaine because I would likely explode.
yeah,
in
but it's
flames.
like
I
people
wouldn't try
that
it now. That's
people
for
that are
sure.
mad hyper like
No.
do coke, and like they're it's like the opposite. Like how people do Ritalin. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
Adderall. Like
0 inch.
yeah, it's like
But yeah, man,
Maybe I should.
dude, trust me, it's not like
No.
it
the
sucks.
thing. I mean, cocaine is there's you just. I'm not gonna say like did I do it or not or whatever. That's whatever. But like just the amount of drugs that aren't as pure when you're getting them from these days. Like I wouldn't trust anything of that sense,
Dude.
especially with all what's the
Fentanyl.
the big one, fentanyl. It's scary, man. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't touch a street drug
No.
ever.
I'll try them out.
No,
like,
hell
but,
no.
yeah.
No, because everybody thinks they're a amateur
You
chemist
like look at
now.
that shit.
Google makes everybody think that they're fucking Breaking Bad or some shit. And they're out there didn't they have like a whole bunch of people got hurt really bad when they started cutting cannabis oil with vitamin E or whatever it was, making those
Those cartridges.
those off market vapes. Yeah, those cartridges that were cut with vitamin
It's the
E.
vitamin and sure,
Like,
it's fine.
whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not to inhale, Chief.
Fuck.
Like
I think
it requires just a little
the
more
natural
work.
stuff's the way to go. With the psilocybin,
is.
like that had a totally life changing moment for me too. Like I was in the worst part of my life, and that it was like overnight completely changed everything.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these things still come with responsibility, and I think that needs to be spoken to, because
Mm.
sometimes a lot of people just bring up the weed or this, but if it's not done responsibly, like just like anything, too much coffee, whatever, like you can abuse something, and it can, you take too much shrooms, you'll end up on the fucking moon, you know what I mean? But if you do it in a responsible way, it can be very therapeutic, and I'm talking like life changing.
Life
It's
changing. You're
it's
right.
incredible, and I've helped many people with it, and that's probably one of the bigger ones I hope to do. But you can only do it with education, because if you speak about shrooms,
We're gonna talk offline. I've got some questions for you offline. I'm dead
Just grab a
serious because
handful and eat
one
those
of the things for
motherfuckers.
me is that I've understood that.
Just grab a big
What's
handful,
that?
just eat them. That's all. Forget all the other stuff.
Oh, Jesus
let me know when you
Christ.
get back to Earth.
Well, what what fascinates me about them is that they mimic the same awareness that you achieve through long-term
Yeah,
meditation. I meditate every day. I've been meditating for almost 3 years now. I haven't missed a single day. And everything that I've ever read about all of these types of drugs that we're discussing, they all have the same end game, an ego death, some kind of, lift in a veil. And that fascinates me. Why is the earth pushing so hard for us to have that kind of understanding about reality? So it makes me super curious. Monks have been doing it forever. India, they use shrooms, bong, everything in between, so it's super fascinating to see how it's all kind of coming together.
yeah.
It's
It's
meshing.
pretty incredible, man. I can't, say it enough how beneficial it's been for me, just becoming, a better person, and kind of learning more about myself. But again, it comes with a great responsibility. And I think education is probably, when I speak about it, I can't speak about it without trying to, educate that I would only use this in a more therapeutic sense. Whereas it's also been known as like a weekend party thing. And that's just not what I would.
I don't see a need for that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't. I'm just saying, like, if it's the best way to go about it right now in today's, world, I guess, would to help educate. I think that's how we're going to reach the most people with it, and try and lift again like a stigma, uh, like marijuana has, because most people associate shrooms as, something the hippies did and went to Woodstock with. So
They
Reefer
look pretty happy.
madness, blah, blah, all those things.
They were a good time. They look pretty happy.
What's that?
Like probably, it's not the best thing to overuse these types of things, but like for the most part, you don't see upset hippies or angry or,
this
it's
is
like,
very, very true.
like
Woodstock was a hook, if I recall.
Wasn't it,
Like-
Gary, didn't you tell me a story about Sweden or somewhere like that where they had a bar where one was alcohol, or Amsterdam? One bar alcohol, the other weed. You want
when
to
I
tell
first
them
went
about
there
that?
in 2000, there's two brothers. One owned a pub and one owned a weed shop, and they were like on the same block, whatever. And by the door, in the weed shop, there was like check marks, like how you count to 5, and like just a whole bunch of them, right, on like one side of the door, and like one check mark on the other side. So I ended up talking, and he said, "Well, my brother owns the bar. That's how many fights they've had this year, and that's how many we've had ever." And it was one, and it was just like, and his brother ended up coming in, and then like he's like, "You had a fight?" He's like, "Yeah, because the guy came over from the fucking bar drunk, and we had to throw him out."
The only
Yeah.
fight they had was a drug deal.
The guy.
That's actually, I really like that. That's actually a really good test, or way to kind of
Analogy, yeah.
I've never got high and wanted to fight somebody. Like maybe I destroy a bag of.
No, I'll fight
Yeah.
a bag of
Nobody
Funyuns like
likes
a son of a
Funyuns.
bitch.
But yeah,
Man, I
like,
can't remember the last time I've had Funyuns, if I'm being real.
You want to know something
That's
super sad? When you grow up poor, you don't get a lot of name brand shit ever. So you don't know what the fuck. You don't look at the word Funyun ever. You get like, Wise brand O-rings or like once every
O-rings.
6 months. And it did not dawn on me until like 2 years ago that Funyuns were fun onions.
Oh wow, is that it?
I had no idea.
we both makes
It's a
fucking
fun
the whole
onion.
word is fun and onions. Like, and you didn't.
No way.
You had no idea,
That's
did
the
you?
first time.
It's a
No
fun
way.
onion.
Well, I feel like I did not know that.
Right? When someone said that to me, I was like, that's
Oh.
not fair. How did I not
Yeah, I
realize
mean,
this?
I don't know. It's never talked about, I guess.
Yeah, it's not really a
Onion,
topic
fun
of
onion.
conversation, really. But
Yeah, well, You
just blew
did.
your
I
mind.
with my whole life, I'm fucking 30 years old. I just learned.
Wow.
Well, I feel like I monopolized all of Gary's attempts to
Oh,
talk
no.
today, because I just got super excited to have you on. Gary, do you have any questions you want to ask or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize how bad the cycling accident was. Holy fuck. And do you like
It's all good.
do you get right back on like when you can, or are you like were you hesitant?
I actually started riding like the a couple days afterwards, just because it was kind of like the only thing I could do. I mean, pedaling isn't that hard, but throwing punches and kicks and stuff, I messed up my hip pretty bad. I actually next week will be my first week kind of back in the gym, throwing punches and stuff. So I'm excited for that. And yeah, man, I mean, more importantly, or I mean, the biggest thing to come out of that was just how fast, it was kind of like godly to get hit and just, I was hit from behind. So I never saw it coming. I just got lifted and I was just like, oh, fuck, here we go. You know what I mean? I was like, this is,
I've seen you eat
and
shit
yeah,
before too. Like,
Wow.
man,
I was hit at like 50 miles per hour. This guy was going about 45 or something like that. And,
You still
Yeah,
have to be
I
alive.
have the video, but I'm not allowed to post it because of the lawsuit or whatever.
Bro, do you watch
Yeah,
it?
it's
See, that's something fighters
I'll
can
send it to
do.
you after this.
Like, I don't think I could see myself not in control of myself,
I've watched
possibly dying.
videos.
That does not
I've watched a
sound
video of
fun
him
at all.
wrecking like
I'll look at it,
300 times at least.
Yeah,
I'd watch his. I wouldn't
Oh,
watch my
it's-
own. Like, that's, kind of like watching your own. Oh, no,
Oh, you
Yeah.
watch your own porn?
I'm
What?
good. That's something different, man. That's the saddest thing to
Yeah.
ever.
no, that's what I look
I
like.
don't want to see
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, right. I don't want to see myself mooshing on somebody. No, my wife would like. That's her scar to bear, not mine. She's got to look at
And
me.
I mean, Vince is from the Detroit area, and I worked out there a long time. We were at a Coney place at like 3 in the morning, and this was back like DVDs were like people slang DVDs. This guy comes
Oh,
in,
yeah.
he's like, "I got all these porno DVDs. They're like 3 for $10." And he's like, just had like a gang of them. He like wouldn't leave us alone. So my boy I was working with is like, just fucking give them to me. Like, gave him $20. He's like, watch the white one. It's just like a white disc, and I just watch that one. This is the best one, you know? So we get back, and like
Yeah.
throw it in. It's like regular porn, like whatever. And it just gets like all grainy. And this was like a very tall, skinny black dude. And it just gets all grainy
Was
and
it
it pops
him?
up and it's just him just nailing this big white chick. And he just doing this. At the end, it's just smiles. It's like the end of the thing.
He gave me a
Yeah, it
video
just
of
like
him
cuts out like the worst splicing ever, and he's just like, she's like bent over, and he's like nailed like for 3 minutes, and he's like, and it just ends on a freeze frame of him. I'm like,
Dude, that is awesome.
I
Absolutely
love this
legendary.
guy now.
oh
At
yeah,
Coin Island too.
oh yeah,
That's how you end the show, man. Well, I want to thank you so much, Vince, for coming on, man. You're such a cool dude. You're real, authentic, and I think you're inspirational too, the way that you take on all these challenges. And I know that the people that are on your social media and stuff like that, that they look up to you. They transfer some of their will onto your will, and they really want to see you succeed. And I feel like that you're really giving them something to look forward to or look up to. So I appreciate you for that, and thank you for coming on. And as far as I'm concerned, I know Gary would say,
Yeah,
you're
no
welcome
doubt.
anytime.
Appreciate that.
Anytime
Thank
you want
you
to come on
guys.
here.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
yeah.
that.
I'm a bit older than you, but I still have like got tons of inspiration from you since first it's
Well,
like
thank
first
you.
and we could see eye to eye, because we're like 5'4". But like, but yeah, I mean, I've definitely had days where I've thought of like about not doing something and like we were motivated by the shit that you were doing and just got my ass up and got it going. It just happened more than once, so it's good to have people like that. Like, it sucks you've had to go through a bunch of shit, man, but the fucking story is going to be, even better than most. And all the things that you're going to achieve are based off all these things that you've been through. So I think, no risk, no
100%.
reward, man.
Like
You
100,
could have
100%.
been an accountant for your whole life and fucking get to watch at 65 and get the RV and travel to Arizona and croak. It's like most people's fucking dream, like I'll take the
Yeah.
fucking,
Man, that
yeah,
sounds
I'm
like
not
it
doing that.
sucks.
Yeah,
I don't
I'll
wanna do
take the
that.
risk as well, but like I'm not riding a bike. Bikes are fucking stupid. And and I
Bikes
hate
are
bikes.
stupid. That's a
hate
blanket
'em,
statement,
like-
man. Like all bikes,
people that ride
Yeah.
bikes are like
They're sketchy for sure.
Yeah, like I'm more afraid of hitting
oh man,
somebody
fucked myself
like
up, but good on them.
that's doing something dumb. Like they're all over the place. Like just cut you
Yeah,
off.
no, I hear
Fuck,
you.
I'm in a
Yeah, yeah.
Cadillac, dog. Like I will
Yeah.
run you the fuck over. Like and then my life's over now because you like all crazy. Yeah.
A lot of times when I'm riding, I always witness, and I'm just like, yeah, this is why people hate cyclists. Like, yeah, I'm always yelling at the guys that I ride with and stuff.
Yeah, the guy in
I even
leopard
hate
skin
myself
tights.
sometimes.
Yeah, you
Fun.
fucking
Yeah,
cut me
but
off in
fucking-
leopard skin tights, and I'll be so mad at you, dude. Like, that's
Leopard skin tight.
oh, that's all you wear.
Tights.
All day.
I wear them.
That's amazing.
They look sweet, man.
Yeah,
Lululemon.
he stuffs.
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much, man. I genuinely appreciate
Yeah,
you
thanks.
coming on. Remember, everybody, be cool and keep learning. What's up, academics? This is Jay. I'm here to talk to you about Into the AM. This is a clothing and apparel company that I came across last year that has the absolute coolest designs. And the reason why I was attracted to it is because I grew up without a lot of money, like many others, and had to shop on that outlet rack with the irregular items. Things like the fly was over 4 inches to the left, or the right sleeve would be twice the size of the left. It looked like I was growing horizontally. Like, it's okay, honey, you'll grow into your left arm. So you really don't get a chance to express yourself the way that you want to. You go into life, you start putting on suits, you start putting on uniforms, and you realize you'd never had a chance to truly express yourself. Enter Into the AM, a team of artists and creators who share a common vision. They see clothing as a canvas to express what drives you. Since 2012, they've developed premium apparel that elevates self-expression and provides unparalleled comfort for wherever your passions take you. Into the AM's passion for change is the driving force behind their brand. They remain committed to creating products that inspire and promote self-expression by partnering with like-minded organizations focused on giving back to communities in need. Last year, they donated 1% of all revenue from their graphic tees collection to the Art of Elysium charity. The Art of Elysium is an artist organization built on the idea that through service, art becomes a catalyst for social change. For over 24 years, the Art of Elysium has paired volunteer artists with communities to support individuals in the midst of difficult emotional life changes. They currently offer 110 community programs per month, serving over 30,000 individuals per year. The only permanent thing in life is change. Supporting charities dedicated to helping those going through these changes, trials, and tribulations require a never-ending commitment. The onus is on us as creators to affect change through our true, authentic talents, and Into the AM is the model of how this is done. Their clothes are handcrafted with care. They have a team of skilled artisans that craft each garment with the highest quality fabrics and eco-friendly inks. Not to mention, these things don't shrink, they don't fade, and they fit as if they were designed supernaturally. I'm stopped every time I wear one of the graphic tees to find out where I got it. The colors attract attention from miles, and the art is nothing short of spectacular, with designs for everyone. One of my personal favorites, Twilight Maiden. Go take a look. Into the AM does all of this while putting their money where their mouth is. 30-day money-back guarantee, lightning fast shipping, and hassle-free returns. The deals are endless. Graphic tee bundles, discount promo codes. Get over there, check it out. I'm highlighting the tees, but I'd be remiss to not mention that if you want to walk around in the absolute most comfortable shorts, joggers, and basic tees, hit up Into the AM. I even wear the basics to the gym. Head on over to thetragedyacademy.com, go to our sponsors tab, and follow the affiliate link to the Into the AM store. Help support Into the AM and the Tragedy Academy by purchasing the absolute best apparel and the best designs ever. And remember, academics, be cool and keep learning.